All right, welcome to this week's edition of the 10X Business Owners Mastermind Call. My name is John Pyron, the business doctor. I am your host for today, and I got my co-host, my counterpart, Mr. Alan Reeves. Alan, say hello. You are muted, sir.
Okay, we'll try it again. Good day, everybody.
Let's get with the program, man.
I know.
Let's get on the This is going to be fun. So, and we got, I always like to reward people that show up on time. We're going to have a lot more people joining us, but I really like to take advantage of those people in a good way that show up on time. So with that said, Mr. Rick Zeller, would you mind introducing yourself and tell us a little bit about you and your business?
Okay, glad to. Yeah, I live in Rockland. My name is Rick Zeller. I'm married. We have 4 kids, 12 grandkids, 4 great-grandbabies. Unfortunately, they're all over the place. Haven't seen some of them in quite a while now, at least a year. But I am in the basically safe money management business. I personally help a lot of people with their retirement, but I have a life insurance agency with approximately 400 agents all over the country. And a lot of that is due to the COVID, frankly, and adapting to Zoom, because we were primarily a Northern California business. And now we are literally in almost every state, except we don't do business in New York outside of that. So.
Wow. It's been a while since I've talked with you. I've known you for quite a while.
Yeah.
And that's exciting that you've expanded nationwide. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So do me a favor on, I've allowed people to rename themselves. If you can rename after Rick Zeller, put your website address after that. And that way people can, just like Dan Knapp did here, that way people can find you and connect with you on the web as well. Mr. Dan, take a little moment and tell us about you and your business and so forth.
Okay. My name's Dan Knapp. I'm the owner of Red Hot Media Productions. I do web design. I have a program called Biz Sites, and I also do videos and animations. And same thing with, I was Zooming, before it was popular, before it became a thing, because I have, that's helped me establish customers pretty much nationwide. So it really is about taking advantage of, the technology and the situation that you're in. So that's what I got.
Awesome stuff. And then, so myself and Alan Reeves were your hosts for today. And then Allison, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, guys. Allison Pyron, John's wife, and been in sales and marketing for about 15 years, security industry, 15 years with that. And so very knowledgeable when it comes to customer service, ideas for marketing with your business, and or a lot of sales ideas. So that's my background.
Awesome stuff. So I'm very blessed and very fortunate, as you can tell, okay, because she is going after the customer service side of things, and really we've got some big plans going on there. So the whole purpose of this call is very simple. Get together as business owners every single week. We're talking about business, real world business problems, challenges that we're having right now. I usually go into, okay, out of the 12 clients that I personally work with one-on-one, what is the biggest or most common business challenge I ran through this week? And I'm going to talk about it and give some training on it and some teaching on it. So hopefully it can help you in your business. And then Alan Reeves, same thing, has about 480 clients all over the country. And with him and his team, they deal with certain technology problems that businesses have. And one of the things we were talking about prior to the call, and let's just talk about it real quick, is like, who on here, just put in the chat window, has ever shopped on Amazon.com? Okay, or even raise your hand or whatever, right? And so one of the things, I got a call, I think it was about 4 or 5 days ago, going, hey, somebody has placed an order. And we are we're suspecting fraudulent activity. And so we're calling you because it's been an $843 charge out of New Jersey, and we just want to verify that this is you. I knew right away it was spam, knew right away it was fraud, didn't even press a button or take the call. So, Alan, share this story you were telling me. And you're going to love this. If you're a business owner, I want you to pay close attention to this, because I don't care how much you think, man, I've got this employee. He's been with me for 20 years. You know, we go to softball games. We go to baseball games. We do all this stuff. And he babysat my kids when they were, I can trust him, right? And I know God knows how many companies over and over again, and they've learned this very lesson right here. Go ahead and take it away, Alan.
So as an IT service provider, we provide third-party and higher levels of security on certain services than you normally find out of the box. What does this translate to in a non-technical term? Well, you can subscribe to services by themselves, or you can get them through us. There's a lot of value add there. One of the things that we do is provide an additional layer of security on top of Office 365. Office 365 manages millions and millions and millions of email accounts across the globe. We have an insurance agency here in Tennessee that we support with this solution. And yesterday, our security system threw an alert that went to us and created a ticket, but it also went to the insurance agency owner, who immediately was completely alarmed, picked up the phone and said, "Did you see that?" Oh yeah, we saw it. And we had a meeting about it today. Basically, one of her staff had created a rule within their email system to forward every single work email to a personal email address, along with a couple of other rules to prioritize emails from certain people. And basically, this person was setting themselves up to move on and take as much as they possibly could.
Sure. Start their own agency, man. Why not?
Intellectual property, move the contacts over, and all these things, because of our system, are setting off alerts. Whereas if you've just got consumer grade email that you're trying to use for business, you're trying to run your business off a Gmail address. If you've got Office 365 directly through Microsoft, you don't have any of these mechanisms that are watching the doors and windows, so to speak. And I had as a result of that, I had a fantastic meeting with that business owner, that agency owner today. Found out that since October, the last time that she and I had talked, she's bought a business and opened 2 more offices. And so there's, I found out that there's extended opportunity there for us that I was not aware of had our systems not caught this. And you don't think about these things. You don't think about these little things every so often. But one of the driving factors for data loss in a business is sabotage. And people don't think about that. You never want to think about it. Just in the same way, you don't want to think about somebody breaking into your physical building. You don't want to think about your hard drive crashing. You don't want to think about these things that have always happened to other people. But sabotage is huge, 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 huge. And
so now, for it. Let me ask you a question. So, you've been in business for, next year will be Mouse Call's 25th year, right?
Correct.
And I've been doing this, 31 years. It'll be 31 years this year, several different companies. And one of the things that has been, I've not only had it happen to me in another company I own, but as a consultant, I run across this all the time. And usually it's like, the last one that was really, really big is I took on this company in the Bay Area. 24 employees. They've been around for, I think, about 28 years at the time. The average employee had been there more than 16 years. So incredible ownership, incredible leadership. And so when I went in, I started doing these assessments on the employees and making sure that the right people are in the right seat on the bus and that they're getting, they're maximizing their strengths and minimizing their weaknesses. I ran across the owner's right-hand person who was handling the bookkeeping and the payroll. And I go to her. I'll just call her Sally to protect the innocent here. And I said, hey, what does, why is Mary doing the bookkeeping and doing the accounting? Everything I'm seeing in her assessment, everything I'm seeing does not, she's got to hate that job. It just doesn't play to her skills. So she goes, you kind of notice that. I was kind of wondering if she was the right fit for that. I'm like, how long has she been doing that? Oh, 12 years. I'm like, that's a long time. Long story short, designed a whole new job for her and approached her with it, and she was all on board, and then she quit a couple of days later. And then we find out that she had, for the last 7 years, been embezzling money from the company, okay, in tune of about $275,000 using the Office Depot card and Staples card. This is another thing where, by accident, we get an alert on it, using a piece of technology. And because of that alert, we find out, oh, this employee, who knows how long that employee has been there, has it set up where all their email interaction, data, who knows how deep this goes, where they're forwarding stuff to themselves because they possibly are going to go start their own agency. Now, here's the only reason I'm sharing all this. I want to point something out, and Rick, you could probably chime in on this. As a business owner, okay, as a company, the person that owns the relationship with the client owns the client. Okay? If we as business owners, and I've been so guilty of this, okay, I learned this lesson the hard way. I lost almost $460,000 a year in reoccurring revenue because of this mistake right here. Is I allowed my business partner to own the client relationship, and when he bailed, he took 40% of the company with him. And so the only thing I can say from this is, like, yeah, even though she's going to, rip off the company for all this intellectual property and go and open up her own store across the street. Now she's in Tennessee. I don't know what the laws are there. Here in California, there is no non-compete and there is no non-solicitation. Any employee that works for me can go across the street, open up a business and solicit my clients, and there's not a dang thing I can do about it. But here's what I can do about it is I can own that relationship with that client. And so I want to encourage you as a business owner, be very mindful and be very careful about becoming lazy in the client relationship and assuming just because a client's been with you for 5 years that they're going to continue to be with you. Alan Reeves has been a client of mine for over 5 years. Okay. And it's very easy for me to just get into maintenance mode. But I have to always ask myself every month, would I continue to pay me the money Alan's paying me? Am I providing the value there? And if you always look at your client relationship that way, it's like, would I pay me, for what I'm delivering to this person? Always make sure that client relationship is at the forefront. So when an employee like this does what they do, you're going to have your risk is very low on that business. So I would like to open it up. Anybody can jump in at this point. Anybody got any ideas or feedback about this topic that they would like to share? Just raise your hand, first come, first serve, or unmute yourself.
And John, while we have some people coming in, I can take your relationship topic and really kind of throw it on its head to illustrate how strongly that matters as well. And John is aware of this. Some years ago, I was a partner in another company that I walked away from due to various and sundry circumstances. I had some major disagreements with how that was being operated. And I was responsible, along with my operations director, for 85% or so of the revenue and clients that were within that company. And as part of the exit agreement that I put together with their attorneys and my attorney, I was going to craft a letter to go out to all these clients, some of which I had had for over 20 years. And I allowed that to be sort of chipped down and edited into something much more formal. Didn't even really sound like it came from me. And they were to deliver it to these clients that had known me for all this time, which put a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't find out for another 2 years or so that they actually did not fulfill that part of the agreement. They did not let people that I had brought in and over from another company know. They didn't know that I had departed that company. They did not know that my operations director had departed that company. Why did they not tell them? Even though we had established an agreement with the attorneys, we had established the wording and verbiage. Why did they not tell the client base that we had gone? Because we were the face of the company. We were the ones that cultivated those personal relationships. My partner over there had never met the majority of these people in person ever. And he probably had a pretty good idea of what that might do or the questions that might rise. And again, that's taking it a totally different angle, but he knew that it was relationship driven, and he didn't want to divulge that.
Yep. Yeah. So kind of the key thing is one of the things I learned as a business owner, and if you've been in business for any length of time, is we as human beings will tend to go with status quo when we hit a goal and we don't reset a new goal. We kind of lose that drive of what pulls us into the future. And I was talking to a client of mine yesterday that they own a civil engineering company. They're almost 3 years old. When I took them on 2018, I think October 2018, they'd only been in business for 2 months. They finished the year at 30,000. The next year they did 165,000. Last year they did 4,000. This year they're on track to do close to 900 grand. And these are two brand new people, man. They just two employees that went and started their own business. They didn't go and rip off their ex-employer. They just took their knowledge and experience and went elsewhere. So when I asked them, I said, hey, and this is very powerful. If you haven't done this recently, I would highly recommend you do this at least once or twice a year with every single client you have. And that is, I asked them at the end of our call, I'm like, congratulations, man. Bravo on the success. If you were in a position to refer me to a friend or colleague, would you refer me? And they said yes. And I go, okay, let me ask you another question. And they already know because I've already trained them on this. They go, I already know what the next question is. I go, okay, good. Let's just say you're talking to that person that you're referring me to. What would you actually say about me? And I mean, I thought they would say strategy, planning, execution. You always have these great ideas, John, all this, strategic planning and stuff like that I think I'm freaking like a bomb at. But the one thing that they pointed out that I'm like, it applies to every business owner, including myself. They go, the number one thing that you do for us is you make us look at our business every week. You have prevented us from being comfortable in our business. You basically, truth be told, me and Frank would probably not rather just have fun and not have to face certain truths every week. But the reason we've grown is you bring that accountability in place. And so what I've learned over the many years is if I'm not growing and I'm not stretching, whether it be business, whether it be marriage, health, fitness, as a father, as a husband, right? I have to look at who am I accountable to? Who's holding me accountable, right? The only reason I work with a guy named Michael Gannon, which most people call him, he's a counselor, right? I look at him as a coach. The dude forces me to look at me. The reason that, we work as a couple with this guy is because he forces us to look at our relationship as a married couple and makes us stretch further. The only reason I connect with Mike Sastry and Dave Vanny and Steve Napaton, my business coaches, right, different business coaches, is they force me to look at me. They force me to grow and expand and stretch, And so whatever that is for you that you're trying to improve on, that you're trying to expand on, that you're trying to pull yourself to a higher level, the best way and the fastest way to get there is to find somebody that pulls you into that. And this is not a pitch for John Pyron Coaching, or any of that crap. There is somebody out there that you have respect for, not necessarily influence over, somebody that will pull you and get the most out of you. And if you don't have somebody like that, whatever area of your life you're trying to improve, highly recommend you get it. Those people will watch your back as well. Okay. And so kind of one of the business principles this week is checks and balances is extremely important, not just technology wise, employee wise, understanding your people, understanding yourself, and putting in place things that can hold you accountable and bring you into the future to play at a higher level. And so that's kind of what I wanted to share with you today. Alan, I know that you wanted to share what you shared with you today. Let's kind of open it up. This is the portion of the call where you can ask whatever question you want. You can bring to the table a business problem, a business challenge, a goal, an opportunity, and share it with the group. Understand this is being recorded and streamed nationally, actually internationally on YouTube. And we want to mastermind with you. And so Barbara raised her hand here. And so go ahead and unmute yourself, Barbara, and what can we help you out with today?
Thank you, John. I wanted to build on something that Alan was talking about, and that's the intellectual property issue. Certainly, we don't think about our email lists being our intellectual property. I work in copyright compliance education and securing online content. So Alan has the techie stuff going on in the back. I work on the other side of making sure you've got your ducks in a row concerning licensing, disclaimers, terms and conditions, copyright, so that also builds in some protection for your intellectual property, because it is our greatest asset as a business owner, our intellectual property. So whatever we create,
so what,
our website,
what kind of questions, what kind of challenges can we help you out with today?
well, I just was making that comment to build on what Alan had said.
Cool. And Barbara, by the way, I've checked out her website. If you don't know her website, managecopyright.com. Managed or manage copyright.com?
I'll stick it in the chat.
Managecopyright.com. So highly recommend that you go and engage with her, especially if you're an author, speaker, coach, consultant. If you create any content at all in any way, shape, or form, definitely worth a conversation with her. Aren't you building out an affiliate program too?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So in pretty much anybody that creates content, writes content, anything like that, be a great resource. I've referred several clients to Barbara. Had great experience with that. So, but the one I want you to share with them, what is the one principle that you learned over this last week? One business principle when it comes to, and it has to do with numbers, tracking your numbers. Remember?
Yes, tracking numbers, and so yes, making contacts, setting appointments. How many of those appointments were held? How many are still pending? What the sales are, or the potential coming out of those calls? Are they prospects to be clients, door openers or referral partners. So that, yes, had a very good exercise with tracking those numbers and saying next week there'll be more. More contacts, more meetings, more opportunities.
Yep. Yeah, knowing your numbers is very key. When you get to a point where you're like at a level where Rick is, Alan is, and I can't speak for you, Rick, so feel free to chime in, is, when I first start, every business I've ever started, very first thing I do is I track my numbers. How many contacts, how many conversations I get into, how many appointments I run, how many people I close, and I track those numbers. And until my calendar is overfloated with client appointments, actual client appointments, I don't stop tracking those numbers. I need to be able to have a predictable business, not something I'm guessing at. And the more you can track those numbers and create a tracker, Dave Vanny, I met Dave. Dave started personally mentoring me in 1996, and I built 3 multi-million-dollar companies with this dude. He always makes me laugh because he's like, you guys and your little fancy flip phone things and your little computer. He doesn't even know how to turn on a computer, man. It's like, he got this flip phone. And he goes, you want to know my system? Here's my system, man. Here's my system. I take out a yellow notepad here, and on that yellow notepad, I write at the top 32 days. Because that's how many days I'm going to track this, 32 working days. And then I number 1 through 32 on the side, and then I put contacts. I put appointments ran, and then I put sales. And the dude makes well over $500,000 a year. So I listen to him because he knows exactly what he's doing. And all the dude track, this is his tracker right here, man. This is it. Okay? He's like, I don't have a CRM. I don't have a fancy phone. I don't have any of that. And I can run circles around you. I'm like, okay, dude, but I like my technology, man. But all he does, he keeps track of how many contacts he gets into. Contacts me, I have a conversation with you, and I ask you for an appointment. That's a contact. Appointments ran. Some of them run, some of them don't. He keeps track of it. How many sales? And what's funny is he whips out box after box of these yellow notepads. And so here's the moral of the story. Because he tracks his numbers, what he's discovered is the only thing he can control, and the only thing you and I can control, is how many people we contact. That's it. I can't control whether they show up to the appointment. I can show up 100% and do my part, but the only thing I have control of is contact. And sales is a contact sport. Business is contact sport. Keeping a fire lit, a fireplace requires new wood to be put on it. And so if you do nothing else other than track your numbers, the things that are important, and continue to add new wood to your fire, your business is always going to be sustainable, grow. And then you do what several people on this call have done, is you get some new strategies and you pivot your business during an economic downturn like COVID, and you end up growing a lot and taking advantage of it. So I want to commend you, Barbara, on doing that, because that's going to pay off big time. So
Thank you for the lesson.
Yeah. All right. So Barbara put her contact information, and if you haven't done it already, put your contact information in the chat window so everybody else can get access to it, and you guys can network and connect. All right. Who's next? Who's got a business problem, challenge, question? Anybody? Comment? Either unmute yourself, raise your hand. Eric Hutton, how are you, bud?
I'm doing pretty good. I was just going to make a comment that on copyright stuff, there's a lot of different ways that copyright can happen. Because if you're doing a website, for instance, you can have an artistic copyright and you can have a programming copyright on top of the same thing. So the same web page can have multiple copyright owners if you aren't looking into it. So copyright can be pretty involved. And if you haven't investigated it for your company, you may want to.
And making sure that you have the ownership, that you have the licenses that you can get into the back end, so that the web designer doesn't hold all the cards. Thank you, Eric.
What's and then put your so you and Eric should really connect, Barbara. You guys would be able to do stuff together. You're in Boston, and Eric's in the Tennessee area, so you guys are like 1 hour difference apart, and I think it'd be a good connection for you. So, one other thing, anybody else have any business problems, challenges, anything like that? Before I bring Mr. Dan Knapp on, because I want to have a dialogue about something here that I think is going to benefit everybody. Okay. Who's next? Rick, what's up, buddy?
Well, I just had a couple of comments. First off, I couldn't agree more about numbers. You have to know your numbers or you're not going to grow. And if you grow, it's an accident. I don't think anyone really wants their business to be an accident. You know, you can't know what you use the word predictable. And when you know what your ratios are, your business is totally predictable. It's not magical, it's mathematical. So I think that's really, really important. The other thing is you were talking about basically what I refer to as working through people. In our business, every one of our agents is a 1099 independent contractor, which means it's like herding cats. Well, it is. It's just herding cats. And when I get a new one on that starts hiring people under them, when they have somebody that I perceive as going to be a winner or comes in and starts going right away, it's true that it's their business, but it's also my business. And when somebody that works under me goes out and gets an elephant, or even doesn't have to be an elephant, it could be just a pretty big case. I make it my business to know those clients because it's their client, but it's my client too. And I think it's really important because even if they leave me and they want to take the business, I still get my overrides on it. But what happens if they get out of business? What happens if they die? Somebody's going to end up with that account, and it might as well stay in our agency. So I work through people. I don't rip them off. I don't steal from them, but I work through them because if I don't, if something happens, and stuff happens, you know, I'm in a good position to not lose my tail because I was too lazy to do that. So.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, is knowing your numbers, having it be predictable, getting to know not only the people that come into your team and identifying the A players and helping them be successful. I mean, the way I look at it is if I'm going to bring somebody on my team, my job as a CEO, as a leader, and I learned this from Taro Mikuni. In this town, there's a sushi place called Mikuni, and it's very popular in this whole region. Right, does a lot of give backs, does a lot of things. But many years ago, he changed. He's got a different title now. But when I first met the dude 8-9 years ago, he replaced his business card. Instead of it saying Chief Executive Officer, it said Chief Encouragement Officer. And that really meant a lot to me. I was like, as a younger business owner at the time, going, that's my job. My job is to be able to encourage and help my people be the best that they can possibly be. And if I hire the right people for the job, train them, put them in the right seat on the bus, great employees don't cost me a dime. They make me money. Good employees cost me a lot of money. Okay? But great employees, people that are better than me in that area of my business, is going to make me money. That's why when I was sitting down looking at my own business plan, Allie and I, my wife and I, have been married a little over a year, and I hadn't slowed down enough to realize, wait, I got a person here that is far better at communicating with people than I am, far better at customer service than I am, far better at, the warm fuzzy than I am. Okay. And it's like,
well, wait a minute, John.
I now have a partner. I knew you're going to chime in. What's up?
She's prettier too. Let's just get that.
Oh, she's pretty.
Yeah.
Exactly. But classic example, it's like, I'm like, wait, I've been a TTI member of these DISC behaviors assessments, driving forces motivator assessments, and talent and skills and competencies. And I'm really good at assessing teams, but I don't really want to take it beyond that. And that's a multi-million-dollar business. There's companies out there that have that part of their business brings in millions of dollars a year. But I have to be able to want to be passionate about it as an owner, and I'm not. And so I discovered that's her passion. So now not only do I have somebody in my company that's better than me at customer service, better than me at follow-up, better than me, and looks better, what looks a whole lot better, right? Okay, I'll get you that, right? Like, I'm building it up, right? I'm earning some points right now. Okay. And somebody that could really take the customer relationship deeper as far as adding value, because if you can get employees operating on the same page, rowing in the boat in the same direction, you can blow up any business. My job now as the owner is to get out of her way. And here's a lesson for you. When you hire somebody that's better than you, the only time you should hire somebody is you want them to take on that role of your company, and you want them to be better than you at that role of your company. You'll never get your freedom otherwise. Okay? And where most small business owners fail, it's usually between that $500 and $1 million mark, because they have to hire some people in order to maintain it. And then they hire somebody and they think, oh my God, okay, I got this person. And they're like, oh wait, they're better than me. And they want to take control back. And it's a mindset growth piece. Okay? And so the key takeaway is make sure that you bring on people that are more talented than you, are better than you, are greater than you. Because if you are tracking your numbers, like Rick was talking about, it's very simple. You already know the numbers. So once you've maxed yourself out, I can hire somebody else. Plug them in, train them. They take over half my numbers. I got some more room to grow more numbers, and I grow it one at a time. That's what happened with my client that they're not even 3 years old, and they've doubled every year. That's all they've done. They've tracked their numbers. They've tracked their activity. They know what the numbers are. They know exactly when they need to hire a new person, how to make them productive, et cetera. And you only get that by tracking and being a professional as a business owner. So thanks a lot, Rick, for your input there. Really appreciate that. Anybody else? Who's up next? Dan Knapp. Unmute yourself for a second, man.
Yes.
I got this. So Dan, the easiest, fastest, most profitable way to grow your business, double, triple, quadruple, whatever comes after that. Okay, if you're a math guy, you could probably put it in the thing, quintuple it or whatever, right? Is through joint venture. Okay, is working with somebody who's going after your target audience and doing a joint venture. And in our region, there's a famous celebrity. I'm not going to mention it because of confidentiality at this point. Okay, but we were able to sit down with this person, and we're going to do a joint venture, and that's going to more than double, triple, quadruple, probably 10x your business, dude, to be quite honest. I mean, it's just going to give you so much exposure nationally, and not my business as well. But here's the reason I'm sharing this. Find someone. Here's a great homework assignment for you. If you want to grow your business 25, 30% over the next 12 months, regardless of where you're at, I would go and find at least one or two joint venture partners that you can take that relationship deeper. So instead of making 1,000 cold calls a week, okay, you go after and you create a joint venture partner that you both are going after the same client. You both have shared values, most importantly, shared values that you share in business, and you get along together. And then you could do some stuff like Dan's doing with this guy, and I'm doing with this guy as well, where this is going to give me and Dan exposure to hundreds of thousands of people we don't have access to right now, and it's going to give him access to the same. Okay? So when you think about who your joint venture partners are, the easiest way to find them is to pick your top 10 favorite clients, the ones that you love the most, and ask them who they're using for other services that they buy. That'll be the easiest way to get your list of 5 to 10 potential joint venture partners, and through a selective interview process, you find the one that you click with and resonate the most with, and you take that relationship very, very deep. I know for certain industries, especially the insurance industry, relationships are huge. I would imagine, Rick, that a crap ton of your business just comes through word of mouth. And so same thing here. So everybody on the call, everybody listening to the recording, it's never been easier to create joint ventures. It's never been easier to create affiliate commissions from people. But more importantly, it's that social currency that you get by helping another business owner out when you're both going after the same client, and they can reciprocate. Okay. So any other feedback, questions, anything else that you want to go over? Alan, got anything?
Well, I thought of something a minute ago, and when you were about to segue into Dan, I actually thought that this was a great appropriation of something that is relevant to Barbara and what Eric said and what Dan does. And kind of going back to that intellectual property and business owners that might step in something that they weren't expecting. Years and years ago, I was having my website redesigned by a gentleman, and we were adding a particular page, and it wasn't quite complete yet. And I just needed a placeholder image until I got a particular picture taken in a day or two. And the guy took a picture off of the web, threw it up there, and that picture ended up costing me over $1,000. And the reason was there are law firms out there that have programs that scour the internet, actively looking for copyrighted or trademarked pictures that are being used without authorization. And
Getty Images, they're very aggressive.
And over the course of that evening, during the 24 hours that picture was up, it got popped. And of course, I never worked with that web designer again. Never got my business ever again. But it was a very expensive lesson. And that's, again, that's something where joint ventures are very important, because you're working with a partner that you know is established and that you trust. If you're doing business with, or you're outsourcing to maybe somebody where there's been no to very little quality control, no TTI test, no anything like that, you may not know what you're getting, and he may end up getting you in a little bit of hurt. So just an observation from the previous conversations.
Yep. Vet any type of referral source. So my experience, and some people thought I'm crazy, is like whenever I'm wanting to vet a potential referral source, I pick my number one most favorite client, the most profitable client I have, the one I have the best relationship with. And I call them up, man. I tell them, hey, I'm thinking about referring this person to my network, to my client base, and I value your opinion so much that I would love for you to take this person's call, go through their spiel, their whole process, and buy, don't buy, it doesn't really matter to me, but I really want to get your feedback. We can meet up over lunch or dinner. I'm buying. Would you be willing to do that for me? They always say yes. Because I have the least risk of losing a favorite best client with something like that I have a really good relationship with, versus somebody else. And I want their honest feedback. Okay. But I tell you, man, once you get 3 or 4 really good, solid reciprocal referral relationships, you can go, I mean, the sky's the limit at that point. You can grow your business at any time. But understand, if you're not keeping in touch and maintaining those relationships, that means you're not depositing money in that social bank account, which means that in your time that you really need, you're not going to have anything to withdraw. And so the person that gives the most is the one that receives the most. And so you never know where that's going to come from. So all your clients have problems, just go out and help them solve their problems. So with that said, you guys have a wonderful week. So next week we'll show up and bring your biggest business problem, challenge, opportunity, goals. We'll help you out any way we can. So if you got a lot of value out of this, like it, share it. If you're out there in YouTube land, like it, share it, give us some feedback, and hit the website. This entire thing is ultimately ending up in a podcast. So if you look up 10X Mastermind Group in your favorite podcast app, 10X Mastermind Group in your favorite podcast app, this is going to start automatically being streamed into that podcast channel. So go out and make it happen. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a great one.